Hi, I'm Rebecca Racken, and for my project, I would like to talk about why the ocean is salty. I personally love the ocean and thought it would be a great topic to explore. I did not know why the ocean actually was salty before I did some research, but now I do, and I'd like to share it with you. But first, let me tell you how our Earth and ocean were formed. Over 500 million years ago, our Earth was actually a molten ball of stuff. Over the course of time, these different elements settled according to density and created a thin crust on the outside. Over some more time, these plates of crust collided, causing water vapor to be released into the atmosphere. Around the same time, the Earth was being pummeled by meteorites. These meteorites brought new elements to Earth, including water. This water melted and collected in the atmosphere as water vapor. Over time, the Earth's surface began to cool, and the water vapor that had collected in the atmosphere began to fall to this new surface. This water began to collect in the Earth's new basins. And that's how the oceans were formed. Today, our ocean is being fed by melting ice caps, rivers, and rain. But all of these sources are actually freshwater sources. So, if our ocean is being fed by these freshwater sources, it should be freshwater, right? Well, if you've ever swallowed a nice gulp of seawater while splashing around at the beach, you know it's definitely not fresh water. It's actually kind of gross. So why isn't it fresh? Well, the salts in the ocean actually come from 3 different sources. The first source is runoff water. When the rain falls on the Earth, it actually dissolves different substances that eventually wash into streams and rivers. These streams and rivers carry these substances to the ocean. The second source for salts in the ocean are hydrothermal vents. Now, if you don't know what a hydrothermal vent is, picture a geyser. Cue the geyser shot. Now, picture those underwater. So, these vents blast out really hot, nutrient-rich water that has been seeping through the Earth's crust for over 10 million years. While this water has been seeping through the crust, it has dissolved more substances that come out with it when it exits the hydrothermal vent. The final source for the salts in the ocean are underwater volcanoes. Yup, you heard me right, volcanoes that are actually underwater. These volcanoes pretty much do the same thing that a hydrothermal vent does. As the volcano is erupting, along with lava, water is also being released. Now, all of these substances that are being blasted and washed into the ocean enter the ocean in the form of ions. These ions collect in the ocean to form what we call salinity. Now, don't freak out about the word salinity. It's a lot simpler than it sounds. Salinity is just a measurement of how many ions are in the water, expressed as a percentage. Now, there are many different types of ions in the ocean. Does that mean we have to count every single type of ion in order to calculate salinity? Actually, we don't. The proportion of one ion to another ion is consistent throughout the world ocean. Therefore, scientists only need to know the amount of one ion in the water in order to determine the individual amounts of the other ions in the water. Once scientists know the amount of ions present, they can then compare it to the amount of water present and calculate salinity. Now, the percentage of salinity is not constant across the world ocean. It is the amount of water present that actually determines the percentage of salinity. The more water you have, the more diluted the salinity. The less water you have, the greater the salinity. One final thing to note is that scientists today actually use electricity to measure the amounts of ions in the water. That way, they no longer need to use the proportions theory I mentioned earlier to calculate salinity. And now we know why the ocean is salty and how we measure its saltiness. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with the beach.